Mission Impossible is a very strange series. It's a long-running film franchise that is loosely based on a TV show from the 1960s, whose dwindling fan base goes to the theater just to see a Scientologist do stunts. It should not be surprising that this long-running franchise that dates back 59 years has gotten 5 video game adaptations. We got Mission Impossible, Mission Impossible, Mission Impossible, Mission Impossible, and last but not least, Mission Impossible Operation Surma. This game supposedly takes place in the continuity of the films, but like
It's time to start another.
Perhaps it is.
This is so non-canon it hurts.
the story involves Ethan Hunt, who looks like Shenmue and sounds like Solid Snake and Duke Nukem had a baby, doing generic Mission Impossible stuff. You can tell this was released a year after the second film because this is a Metal Gear clone and not a Lost Vikings clone. In layman's terms, Ethan is alone on this adventure to defeat Algo, and
That's the problem with you capitalists.
communist for some reason? The story isn't bad, it's just exactly what you would expect from a licensed game, LARPing as a sequel to Mission Impossible 2. If you are looking for a good sequel to the Razzie-nominated Mission Impossible 2, I would recommend just watching Mission Impossible 3, as it's actually good. To start off with some positives, I think this game looks and sounds great. The texture work is top notch for a mid 6th gen title, and the material and lighting work is far more advanced than most other games on the GameCube. Operation Surma looks like it could have passed for a mid 2000s PC release, maybe even an early 7th gen game. My only issue with the visuals is that the in engine cutscenes are not very well animated. The game has some stiff animation where characters just stand around and cycle through 2 or 3 talking animations, and it would be fine on the PS1 or the Dreamcast, but it really looks dated in 2003. Mission Impossible Operation Surma gives you what you would expect from a stealth shooter. The thing that makes this game stand out from Metal Gear and Splinter Cell are the gadgets. Ethan will use various gadgets to maneuver through the game's 4 levels. If I wasn't bored out of my mind from this game's lackluster missions, I was frustrated by fighting the game's jank. The most obvious flaw with this game is the inconsistent way in which checkpoints work. The way I'm guessing the game's checkpoint system works is that it checks for some kind of flag for enemy AI and then basically save states the game whenever you complete an objective or reach some kind of in-level milestone. But I honestly don't know how it works, either because the system is inconsistent or broken. If it works the way I theorized it works, this is problematic because it leads to situations where the player ends up in a loop where they are stuck in a bad predicament because the enemies constantly find dead bodies left long before the player died, and it makes the player constantly enter alert status upon respawn. They could have easily fixed this issue by just resetting the level when Ethan dies, but this then wouldn't be Operation Surma, one of the worst games I have ever played. I guess this game just has to do everything in the most obtuse way possible. Complete a stage with 1 hit point left. Good luck, cause that shit doesn't reset. Need to consult the minimap to figure out where to go. Sometimes waypoints just stop working. How do you control this drone? I beat the game and I do not know how this fucking drone works. Gunplay is hilariously archaic and outdated, even for the time. The way gunplay works in this game is that this reticle that is white turns red when it detects a target, and then you can shoot it, no matter whether or not the target's behind a solid wall. You will do damage to an enemy regardless of whether or not they are behind a solid surface. As long as that thing's ready, you're good. The control scheme resembles what you might expect from a modern third-person shooter, but the stick sensitivity is insanely low and there's no way to change it. The game tries to remedy this issue by making all handguns automatically home in on enemies, but it still feels more sluggish than it needs to. I don't get why a game with all these options can't just let you adjust the stick sensitivity. This obviously wouldn't be an issue if the game were released on PC with keyboard and mouse controls, but we can rest easy knowing that this game was never forced to run on any PC, natively at least. While I would love to play a good 3D Mission Impossible games based on the films, Mission Impossible Operation Surma sadly isn't it. I can't recommend this game to anyone, including diehard Mission Impossible fans. While the game may look the part, it's hard to ignore the game's bad controls and forgettable story, in addition to the insane amounts of jank. I definitely recommend skipping this game if you are marathoning the films in preparation for the new movie, which this video is not sponsored by the way, but go see it. Mission Impossible Operation Surma gets 2.5 copies of Splinter Cell out of 10.